Caddis Maximus here, this time with a short review of this 18-piece little ratcheting Lenox multi-bit. This is a little ratcheting precision screwdriver set using the 5/32 or 4mm bits, the super tiny ones. A little bit less common to see the ratcheting ones, and I've always kind of liked the style of Lenox's. Let's see if we can't get this packaging open. Yeah. I always like using this thing. Makes that packaging much easier to deal with. So it comes in a weird little case. Actually, the case doesn't feel too bad. So it's advertised as 18 pieces. Let's take a look at this little driver. It doesn't look like it's the some particles there. The most well made. It seems similar to the Doyle, the same type of mechanism, but it should be okay when it's in a smaller driver. And indeed, it's triple molded even on this. The Lenox is actually physically plastic that's molded in there, where the Wolf's head is actually a roll stamp. Little ratcheting action. The spindle seems reasonably tight, although there is not the best finish on there. It seems like it's cast. Reversing switch isn't too bad with a decent detent, and a locking position, of course, in the middle. It seems to say something there. This is, here we go. It's interesting. It's the USA patent number, and they've cast that in around the bottom of that. I think that's kind of an odd little setup. Let's take a closer look at these bits. I'll do a little zoom in so you can see how well they're finished. One of the things about my channel is at least getting some detail. Yeah, they don't look too bad. Actually, this is better than my own eyesight. There's our tiny little Phillips. That's actually pretty handy. This one is an S000 Phillips. That's getting almost down to watch size screws, so that is pretty nice. A variety of hex, as well as quite a few flatheads, as you might expect. The reason I say these cases are a little cheesy is just because the little slots that they have these bits in tend to wear out pretty quickly, and then they just end up floating everywhere. Although it does have, surprisingly enough, a real hinge with an actual little steel hinge pin. Usually these cases are molded, and there's just a thin area of plastic that acts as the hinge that eventually fatigues and falls apart. So I'm actually kind of surprised to see that. Let's take a look at the fit of the little driver. Magnetic retention, which I think is the proper way. That way there isn't little springs and rings that end up falling out or wearing out. Let's take a look at the Phillips, at least as far as its fit to a little screw. So even on this little screw, it actually turns out that it's a number 1 Phillips. And that's what's a little bit odd about this set. I'll give them a little bit of criticism, is that it only has a number 0 Phillips. It doesn't have a number 1, which would be really common. They give you a whole bunch of star or Torx bits, and you probably could have taken away one of those to give you a Phillips number 3. That might have been a little bit nicer. If we do compare to, say, these rigids, which I've had for a real long time, we can see that the bit shape is proper for a number 0, excuse me. And they do advertise that they're S2 steel. I was going to point that out here. Right there, you can just barely, it's upside down. And I think on the other side, yeah, they even have Lenox, so I thought that was kind of interesting. They're really making sure that you have Lenox bits. And one final note is they didn't make the case long enough to put the driver in with the bit. You always have to take out the bit in order to put the driver away. So, you know, this thing was $9, and I kind of like the driver itself, so that's fine. I guess the case and the rest of the bits are kind of a second thought, but it's nice that they are S2 steel, and it is a decent variety. They just should have had a number 1 Phillips, and the fit and finish could be a little better, even though it is $9 for a Lenox product, and it does have a real nice Lenox handle on it. That's what attracted me to it. I should point out that I put quite a bit of pressure on it, and it seems to be pretty good that way. There's not a whole lot of extra friction when you're actually pushing pretty hard, and I did want to point that out. That's one thing I have noticed about a lot of ratcheting drivers is they'll ratchet fine, but as a screwdriver, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on it, and then they really start to stick up. You may want to put a little drop of oil, but overall that's not too bad. And for $9, I think it's a neat little set. I've really wanted one like this, and something that had just a little bit better handle than like some of the standard Harbor Freight stuff. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out. On a quick final note, I was noticing that the clasp is actually just a molded plastic thing that's going to wear out and tear on you. Why they would use a steel pin hinge and then just a molded plastic hinge on the clasp seems a little bit strange. Why wouldn't you put a real hinge on the front and charge an extra 50 cents? That way the container might just hold up a little better. That just seemed a little bit odd to me. Otherwise, it actually feels structurally pretty good. Anyway, until next time.